So I'm on a roll with these book videos apparently. You might have seen my last one which talked about the book Wild by Cheryl Strayed. And today I'm going to talk about the Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. As always, this review is probably going to contain spoilers because I just talk openly about the book and my thoughts and feelings about it. I'd love for you to participate in this as well. Get involved in the comments down below, talk on Instagram, you know, whatever. And my overall feeling about the Little Paris Bookshop is I like it. It's a good, quick read. It doesn't take too much brain power to get engaged in. It's not too long and it's charming. It is almost stereotypically kitsch and camp in its Frenchy, charming, nostalgic kind of aspects. But you know what? I'm a sucker for it. I know it's overdone and there is bits in this which I would say is definitely overdone, but overall I like it. Give you some background on the book. I'll read you the blurb. Excuse my terrible French pronunciation throughout this video, by the way. I may have lived in France for a year, but I definitely didn't become that good in French. So on a beautifully restored barge on the Seine, Jean Perdue runs a bookshop, or rather a literary apothecary. For this bookseller possesses a rare gift for sensing which books will soothe the troubled souls of his customers. The only person he is unable to cure, it seems, is himself. But when an enigmatic new neighbour moves into his eccentric apartment on Rue Montagnard, Jean is inspired to unlock his heart, unmoor the floating bookshop and set off for Provence, in search of the past and his beloved. And yes, it is pretty much as cheesy as what it sounds. I've written my feelings and thoughts about it in my little bullet journal and notebook like I always do, so I thought I would just work through them. The whole concept of a literary apothecary just spoke to me. I loved it. I thought it was such a good concept and I kind of wish it went a little bit further and more developed. Although for some people they would like how it stayed grounded in the sort of realist terms of it. It stayed very real. There's no fantasy element of it. But you know, I wouldn't have minded if it was a little bit of kind of fantasy, very light fantasy involved in the healing process of, you know, getting someone the right book and, you know, to match, or buying the right book to match your feelings or your moods and finding the book that's meant for you. I think I would have liked that and that would appeal to me, but obviously it would have taken the book in a different direction. The biggest bugbear I can see people maybe having with this book, and I understand, is the Frenchiness and, you know, French and the nostalgia around France and the romanticization of everything French is just, it's everywhere, and I know that. And you know, I can see why people wouldn't like it and I do understand it, but I like it. I am the masses, and this is a book for the masses very much. And if you like everything French, you know, you'll like it as well. Another thing I found a little bit hard to engage with is understanding and kind of getting the main character, Jean Perdue's voice and kind of his inner voice, his inner motivations. It just didn't kind of flow and connect with me as much as I thought it would, and as much as I would expect from a main character in a novel. I can normally really connect with the main characters, emphasize, understand them at least on some levels, whereas I felt for this my connection with Jean Perdue was very shallow. It was a shallow connection, and I don't know if that's just me or if maybe that's how it's written, but it's probably just my understanding of the character. There is a nice arc with the story. There is a journey which I liked, and I must admit, get a little bit emotional at the end, and I think the emotions at the end were done quite well. That bit wasn't camp. That bit was probably the most unpredictable aspect of the book, which I liked. And if you've read the book, you'll know what I mean. The ending was really pleasant, and I like it, and I like finishing a book and being like, oh, that was rounded off well. And yeah, maybe it is too stereotypical and too perfect for some people, but but I like it. It's good. One note that I've written down in my book is a lazy person's elegance of the hedgehog, and maybe that is a little bit too harsh, but I stand by that. If you've read The Elegance of the Hedgehog, you'll know what I mean. It takes a lot of work to digest it, to understand it, and to enjoy. It makes you work for your enjoyment. I'll leave my link to my review that I did up above. But this, you don't need to work so hard to engage with the text, engage with the characters, but it does have that French charm and French feel about it. So that's probably what prompted me to write that quite critical note. Although I don't think I meant it in a critical way. I think because I like The Elegance of the Hedgehog, I kind of just see this as within the same vein, but maybe a kind of diluted version of The Elegance of the Hedgehog. It doesn't have the sort of same intellectual ideas that you need to wrestle with, which you do with Hedgehog. But overall, I really like the book. I'm definitely going to read it again. It's a good feel-good book. It's a good holiday book. You know, you can read as much or little of it as you want. You're not going to get sick of it, but you're also not going to forget what just happened if you take a break. Maybe to rephrase my final critique there, it's Elegance of the Hedgehog light, and if you need that light aspect, or if you want that light aspect of it, go for it. If you've read The Little Paris Bookshop, please leave me a comment down below with how you thought about it. I'd like to know, if you've read The Elegance of the Hedgehog as well, what you think about the two of them as a comparison. I know it's not really fair as Elegance of the Hedgehog is a translated work, but I'd like to know what your comparison is, and I'd also like to know if you managed to connect with Jean Perdu or any of the other characters, and to what degree. So on to the next book that I want to talk about in a video whenever I finish reading it, and that is F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Beautiful and the Damned. This is his second book. I have this beautiful Penguin Classics edition. I have the whole set of these. I'll leave the link up if you want to see a little bit more about the book itself, but actual more information on the content and my thoughts and ideas on F. Scott Fitzgerald's second book is coming soon.